Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Like, Share, Follow. And this week I have the amazing Ingrid Dihle. And actually, I thought Ingrid was in Ireland, but she's actually in Norway. And Ingrid is not only a USC graduate, but she now is an account executive with Microsoft. So, welcome, Ingrid. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm good. I'm living through the pandemic like everyone else. So I'm
Yes,
here
but
in my home office / laundry room.
well, that's right. Multi-purpose is the way. And you were saying that you are actually heading back to Ireland tomorrow if all goes well.
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers that the flight is actually going. You never know during this time, so just waiting
Yeah.
and see.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us. Like, I mean, it's early morning where you are, so I appreciate that.
It's 9, so it's already I'm already up.
Okay, that's good. That's not too early. And so we're planning before we went live tonight, just to find out, or in the morning for you, just to find out when was the last time we were in touch. And so we were thinking it was 2016 when you were last at the University of the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, so I graduated in June 2016, so it's almost 5 years.
Yeah, wow. And so tell me, what have you done from leaving the Sunshine Coast in Australia to now really being an employee for Microsoft, normally based in Ireland? So what have you been doing these last few years to reach that point?
I've done a lot. It's been a long and sometimes a bit turbulent journey, but I'm very happy that it made me it put me where I am today. So I was, of course, super sad to leave Australia. I mean, I'm from Norway. It's super cold, snowing. Now it's lots of snow here. I'm sure you have great weather.
Yeah, I'm looking out the window now and it is blue skies. And I just turned the air conditioner off.
Well, here it's minus 10 degrees. Yeah, so I was very sad to leave Australia, but of course, because I'm Norwegian and I was there on a student visa, I had to go. And then I had a gap year. I wasn't really sure what to do. I did a bachelor in communication with major in PR and creative writing. So I built a foundation, but I didn't really know where to go from there. So I had a gap year where I was just working in a nursing home and as a receptionist. So I was working 24/7, just saving up the money and thinking about where I wanted to go next. I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue on the creative writing path or continue on the public relations path. But actually in that gap year, I also did a few literature classes, and that's when I found out that communication and the public relation was the path for me. So after a year, I was very lucky to get accepted into a Master's of Science in Social Communication here in Norway. So I started that degree, and one of the reasons that I was still figuring out what to do and where I wanted to go in my gap year was because I had the foundation, but I still didn't really feel like a professional. I didn't feel like I could go to a company and say, I'm going to help you with this and this and this, and it will be amazing. So I really went into myself and thought, what can I do to be better? And what can I do to really be more confident in myself and my abilities? So during that master's, I thought, okay, I have bought myself 2 more years. Now I just need to do everything I can to be the best version of me that I can. So I snooped around in all these different activities. I went to this communication association at the university. I signed up for the student parliament to be better at being confident, speaking publicly, and voicing my opinion. And then through that, I actually got the job at the university in the communications department, managing the university's social media.
Fantastic.
So I got that for the rest of the duration of my degree. So it was a year and a half. And that was really when I started to see, okay, this is actually what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is the path that I've chosen. So I got that 40% position, and it was mainly social media, which is great. But I thought, okay, I have a foot inside the communications department. Let's just make the most of it. So it started with social media, but then after a while, after I got to know the department and they trusted me as someone who could actually do work that they were happy with, I actually got to write quite a lot of articles. I got to be a part of making promotion videos for the university and being parts of events, and really just I got to do whatever I wanted. When they had a project, I asked, can I join? And they said, of course. So I really just used that time to increase my own competence and get ready for a life outside the safe walls of the university. So that was really great. But then, of course, that position was only for the duration of my master's. So when I was done, I was put into the world again, told to fly. And I moved back to Oslo, which is where I'm from. So this was in another city. And I, again, felt like I was, of course, more sure of myself and my capabilities, but I then felt like a fish in a pond with 1,000 other fish. And it was, I'm sure this happens to everyone. This happened to almost everyone in my degree. But when you go out there and you think, I'm going to take over the world and I'm going to get a job within 2 weeks. But that didn't happen. So you go through lots of interviews, lots of processes. It gets better every time. You go further every time. I think I was number 2 8 times.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really just feeling, why can't I just reach that? Why can't I just be chosen for one? Because I always went so far. And I did get jobs. I got temporary positions as communication advisors, but it was only for a couple of months here and then 3 months there. And then, I was in Oslo for 6 months working temporary positions. And then I thought to myself, okay, you need a change. And now is the time. You have the time and the space to make a change. I didn't have anything holding me back here in Norway. And it was clearly not working out for me and getting a full-time position. I think it would if I just kept going, and I had some feelers out there, but I thought, okay, I really want to move abroad again. So I started to look to London and look to Ireland and look to Malta and all different places in Europe. And there, of course, I had the advantage that I was Norwegian, because there's a lot of international companies that are based in these locations. So that's really how I came to Ireland. I got a little position at a center for a couple of months that had me move to Ireland. And then while I was there, I kept applying for positions. And actually, since this is related to social media, one day after being in Ireland for a month, I got a message on LinkedIn from a recruiter from Microsoft saying that, hey, I've looked at this, I looked at your profile, then we have this position that might fit you. And I thought, great, I'm never going to get a job in Microsoft, but why not try?
Yeah.
And then I got it, and I started at Microsoft last April. Yeah. And I'm so happy. It was a very interesting but fun turn of events.
Yeah, fantastic. And it also shows you the power of LinkedIn, doesn't it? That if you've got yourself set up well, opportunities can come to you. I keep saying that, and so you're evidence. So that's fantastic. And so what do you think actually set you apart from other graduates? So clearly they were looking for someone with your skill set, but then you still had to apply and you would have been competing with other graduates. So what do you think set you apart in getting this role at Microsoft?
Yeah, so I was very lucky because this is not a beginner job. It's a little bit, it's not a senior role, but it's a bit up there. So it's not for early graduates, really. But they were actually looking for an early in career person. So they have this incentive where they are actively looking to hire people that don't have that much experience, especially within that field. And I had experience within public relations and communications, but I didn't have anything in technology. So it was, they were looking for an early in career person. I was there in Ireland, so it was easy I didn't have to relocate. And I think it also was that because like I talked about earlier, when I did my master's, I was really focusing on increasing my own competence and being a part of the faculty board, the student parliament, the communication association, and had that job on the side. So I think they really saw that I was always striving to be better, and I wasn't just going with the flow. I always tried to make the best of what I had offered to me. And that is also very important in this job. You need to be on, and you need to work, and you need to show that you want to be there. So I think that really helped. And also the main thing, it's a bit funny, but I was actually interviewing for a few other technology companies, and I didn't think I would get the job at Microsoft. So I thought, okay, this is super cool. I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to get it. So I'll just use this as an opportunity to prepare for the other interviews. So I really showed up as me and not who I thought they wanted. I really showed up as me, and I didn't try to be anyone else. I didn't try to make myself seem better than I am. So I really showed up as me, tried to connect to them as much as possible, and just being myself, and that relaxed me, and I got the job.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's it. I think sometimes when you go for a role and you don't have that sort of, because that just air of desperation, with, for want of a better word, that you really need that job. Sometimes that can really come across in a bit of a negative way. But being more relaxed and yourself, as you say, definitely worked in your favour. So tell me, what has been like, apart from that, about being relaxed in interviews? What is some of the best career advice that you've been given?
Well, it's based on that. So I told you I was struggling a lot for those 6 months. I got temporary positions. I didn't get a full-time position, and I was number 2 8 times, and I was in so many processes. So it's just that, just relax, take a breath, and move forward, because it will happen. And now looking back, I'm so glad I didn't get any of those that I was interviewing with. And I remember I was so sad not getting them. I was thinking, why am I not good enough? But I'm so glad now I really turned out for the better. So I think that just when the right opportunity presents itself, and you will connect with that company, and you will connect with their mission, and that's what happens. So really, it just, when you can't go up until you reach the deepest ground.
And I've heard that too. I've been reading these sort of inspirational quotes online, and one about rejection. It's not to take it so hard. It's actually pointing you in another direction that is for you. So so rather than just taking it to heart, just think, okay, well, that's not meant for me, and keep trying, and you will get eventually what is meant for you.
Yeah, and just not go in there and have them think or show that you're gonna fix everything for them. I was early in my career. I wasn't gonna fix everything. I didn't know anything. I was there to learn. But as long as I was willing to learn and do my best, that was enough. And that they don't expect you to be this super woman or man to come in and just turn the whole company around. They just expect you to do your best. And especially when you're early in your career, they expect you to learn and be willing to really explore what opportunities are there.
Absolutely. And so tell me, what is some of the things that you learned at university that have helped you in your current role?
Yeah, so of course, university is a foundation. So it's what's made me ready for this journey. But I would say it's not so much just about the course material, but it's about being proactive, juggling several tasks at once, and never ever procrastinating. I know I did that in the beginning, and a lot of people do that, but you can't procrastinate when you go into your career, and when you have to work someone and prove to them that you are worthy of their money and investment. So really just putting procrastinating behind me. Having several things ongoing at work, tackling stress when you're in exam periods, that really made me ready, mentally ready for going into my career. And again, just using the opportunities that the university have to grow and not just show up to classes and not care, because you can't do that when you go into your future job. You can't just show up and not care. You have to actually do the work and have to actually grow and be better. So I think that's very important, and that's definitely what I learned the most.
Yeah, and I remember I've got strong memory of you like asking lots of questions. When, if something wasn't clear, you were not shy in coming and waiting and making a time and coming in to clarify. And I think that's as I say, like the best students ask questions because that's how they become the best students, and they learn because they don't just take things on face value. They actually delve much more deeply to really make sure they have a solid understanding of what the content is, what they need to do, how they can do it well. So
and that really applies to later as well. You have to ask questions to grow, and if you don't ask, you won't know. So it's really just don't think that everything will work out. It will probably, but you have to do it yourself. I have this cup here actually that I drink from every day, and it says in Norwegian, "My life would never be the same without me."
Yeah, well, and that is true.
So true.
So tell me, what's something that you didn't learn at university that when you've been out working you wish you had learned at university?
Well, yeah, it's definitely the theoretical knowledge versus the practical knowledge. So in university, you learn a lot of theory, and you might have some assignments that are related to what you will do later, but it doesn't make you a professional. I remember I did a journalism class and I wrote a couple of articles. That didn't mean I could go to Norway's biggest newspaper and say, "Hi, I'm a professional journalist." So really just having more practical skills, and that's also what I did when I did my master's, because I didn't feel ready. So I used that time to get into the communications department and actually explore. I wrote several articles. I was a part of making several promotion movies, and I was also in charge of the social media. So I really got to explore there and really try out the different aspects of the path that I've chosen. Yeah, so really having a portfolio to show to and say, this is what I've done, this is what I can do, and I will get better.
Yeah. And I know with the social media courses now at USC, there's so many of them are client facing. So students, because these happen after you've finished. So students have clients that they have to deal with throughout the semester. They're creating content for the client and just getting some of that client experience, that client liaison experience and client relationship management. Yeah, because it is hard and it is a skill. And even learning things like picking up the phone and speaking to someone you don't know for the first time is really daunting. And so I think we really need to teach those skills at university and be there to actually coach students through how to do it. So then they do feel confident when they graduate.
Yeah, and I did have that event management class with you, and that's actually one thing that I really used moving forward, because it was such a real thing, and I remember all the stress and all the teamwork and everything we did to create this event, and I really used that in moving forward. When I applied for jobs, they said, "When have you failed?" And I had this example from that time. And also, how did you solve it? Because we actually solved it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like that, and that events course, it's like a roller coaster, and I think we say that at the beginning because it's it goes up and down, and then but the actual event itself is amazing, but just getting to that point is it's not for the faint-hearted. Like you learn then whether you like events or not, don't you?
But it was a great experience.
Yeah, it's good. I think the more sort of real things that we give students to do, the better everyone is, I think. And so tell me, because are you still interested in social media now, even though your job doesn't involve a lot of it, but you were saying before that Microsoft is keen for you to try and use it a bit more?
Absolutely. You know, Microsoft is such a big company. Even working in it, it's impossible to know everything that's going on. So I'm really dependent on social media for my job. I'm dependent on my colleagues to share articles and share videos that I watch and learn from. And I can have someone asking me, can you teach us about Power BI, which is this analytical tool that Microsoft have? And I said, of course. And I'll go on YouTube and watch several videos about it and then go in and share my knowledge. So I use social media all the time to learn my job and to just know everything that's going on at Microsoft, because it's so much. And like we talked about before we went live, is when I worked at the university, was that difference between what engaged people and not. So of course, showing what research the university did was of course important, and it made engagement. But when I said, oh, it's such a nice day, hope to see you here soon, the engagements just went through the roof.
Yeah, I know, I see that on our one for USC, how the research stuff is great, but when we show kangaroos, that's what gets it. So yeah, and so tell me, like, have you learned something sort of social media related in the last 2 weeks that you could share? Some like tool or hack or something?
Yes, so I learned so much from social media, especially during this pandemic. I mean, I spend hours on TikTok and it's not good, but I go outside.
Do you make TikToks?
No, I don't make TikToks, but one day you popped up there here in Norway. I gave you a follow. No, I'm just there snooping around. I feel a bit old. I don't really have. Yeah. But no, you're never gonna see me dancing in front of the camera. It's not gonna happen. No, but I learned something very interesting actually, and it was, I should have probably known this before, but I didn't. Is that you can go to adssettings.google.com and you can see all the assumptions that Google make about you.
Yeah.
And that's how they really target ads at you. And I thought it was so interesting to see the assumptions they made about me. Some were spot on. Like if I had any kids, where I was working, and some things of what I was interested in, but some things were just way off.
Yeah, really?
And I maybe searched for it once for I don't know why, and they thought it was my hobby.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting to see how they really use that to target ads at you.
Yeah, so I might even go and check that out. If you have the link to that, could you post that in the comments? Because I'm sure other people would be interested in that too.
Yeah.
And so do you have any advice other than what you've already given to emerging professionals or students about to enter the industry, about how they can be successful?
Well, I definitely think be yourself, and when it comes to social media, if you're taking over someone's social media, really a company or a brand, just really try to give that a personality, because that will really that will show sort of the soul of the company. So find that soul, give the social media that personality, and then instead of just being very straight to the point and short and no emojis do wonders in social media. So really, I think that's the biggest thing. Just be yourself, find your voice, and really create a soul with what you're doing. Give your work a personality.
It's so true. And even like the emojis, there's actually been academic research now to prove that people engage with posts that actually have emojis. They engage with posts a lot more when they have emojis than when they don't. So I think it's sort of, I was having this conversation about it the other day, and I think it, particularly if it's for a brand or a business or something like that, it sort of softens the message if it's and makes it a bit more playful, I think. And it doesn't have to be like a laugh out loud emoji or anything like that, but it, I don't know, it just adds that extra visual element to make it a bit more accessible, I think.
It's so true. So I always use emojis. even with
Yeah.
just talking to people, because a smile just brightens up the message.
It does, and sometimes it just because you can misconstrue text so easily, and so and depending on your mood, you can actually read into it stuff that isn't actually there. Like you can read a tone that isn't even meant that way. So sometimes adding that emoji just helps to clarify.
Yeah, exactly.
And so tell me, this is the most important question of the whole show. Who do you like, share, and follow?
Yes, so I have 3, and I'm gonna put them in order of the least interesting and the most interesting last. So it's not the least interesting because it's in the top 3, but the least interesting of those 3. So it's of course the Microsoft leadership team and everything that I need to follow for my job to keep up with what's happening. So that's number 3, and then number 2 is NASA, because I love NASA and space and everything that.
Yeah.
And the number 1 is David Attenborough, because he is my hero.
Yeah.
I follow everything that he do, and I follow all the accounts that makes that writes about him. So BBC and David Attenborough, he's my hero.
Yeah, well, they're wonderful. So they're all amazing. So and everyone knows those as well. So yeah, so that's great. And I mean, they're really great content they give out as well. So really, again, like just that communicating scientific content, in an accessible way. It's almost interpreting it in a way that just anyone can understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if I could be anyone else in this world, I would be David Attenborough.
Yeah. Well, maybe you might have a job as a social media manager coming up. So, so thank you so much. So we're at the end of our session now, and before we go, do you have any final words you would like to share with the people watching?
Yes. Well, like I said earlier, just relax, do your best, move forward, and everything will work out. And sometimes when things doesn't work out, it's because something better is just right around the corner.
Excellent advice. That's so true. So thank you so much for joining me this morning or this evening, our time. And and next week we'll be back to the usual time of 12:30 in the afternoon, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be chatting with Bronte Creswell, who is a USC grad, but now is the director of Dash of Milk Agency. So Bronte was right into social media while she was studying. She was already working in the field, and this was even before we had all the courses as well. And then she graduated and went on to start up her own agency, which is doing really well. So it'll be great to chat to her as well. So you all just make me so proud. So, so thank you very much, and and I'll see everyone next week. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.